Perhaps you would like to start with Premji.
Thank you, Sumitji. I'm Prem Aryal. I oversee, among others, social investment division of Surya Nepal. I'm very thankful to the organizer that this is a right time to organize an event of this type, because we've just initiated the mandatory regime for CSR as such, because this started in 2017. It was 4 years back. So in terms of mandatory regime, we are in third year. While we were carrying out, we were doing CSR prior to mandatory regime also, but since there is a legal framework and a legal requirement to carry out CSR, and it's regulated by the government, it's right time to discuss issues surrounding this particular area. Looking forward for discussion.
Thank you, Premji. Very briefly, I mean, it's already been introduced. We are running out of time. I was just told by my dear colleague here. So very briefly, Satakshi, just a line or two.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shatakshi. I work with Samita Social Ventures, which is an impact consulting firm based out of Mumbai in India. And yeah, looking forward to the discussion.
Namaste Sapalai, my name is Shakib, and I have been engaged with the civil society since last 25-27 years in different countries, working with different organizations. And the reason why I'm here is that my biggest struggle in life has been to understand or explore the interface between the community, the civil society, and private sector. It has been my biggest struggle. I've worked in different countries. I was also the chair of a forum called Market Development Forum in Bangladesh for around 5 years. And the main mandate of the forum was to create some kind of a symbiotic relationship or interface between the civil society and the corporates. And I look forward to a very enriching discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ujwalji, please.
Ujwal Kumar Shrestha, Executive Director, Panchakanya Group. Thank you. Looking forward to this.
Thank you so much. Well, I mean, since we are running out of time, I'll just say a line or two that, why CSR is important in Nepal's context is that it's pretty much understood despite being a new context, new concept that's been introduced fairly a couple of years back. I think, and I would like to believe that the values that's enshrined within the CSR is pretty much embedded in the values of Nepali society, which has been staying with us for a long, long time. So having said that, I straight want to jump in by inviting Saqib, that it has already come from the previous session as well. Can you please touch upon this question whether CSR is a charity, compliance, or a business? What is it for you?
Very interesting. I think ideally it should be a combination of all the three. But unfortunately, I see, or the larger perception is that CSR is compliance. For me, CSR is a true business. The reason why I'm saying this is, let me give you an example. I was studying in UK, and I didn't have sufficient fund to support my studies, so I was working in a very famous store called Marks and Spencer. I'm sure you would have heard about it, right, isn't it? And I was working in a coffee shop over there. And what I saw was that there were several people working on the floor who were not able to speak or who were not able to hear. And this model I see in Nepal as well. And then I became very curious. Somebody who will have difficulties in interacting with the customers and clients, what is the reason why they have kept over there, why they are employed. And then after some research, I understood that this kind of initiative has helped them enhance their business also. The reason why I'm saying that, for me, CSR is a true business. Number one, it will always attract the top talents. I'm sure all of you, when you want to join a company, the first question you ask is how the company is, isn't it? you are very conscious about the brand identity, the reputation, the image of the company. So in that sense, it attracts the best talent, I would say, that I work for a company, you feel certain sense of pride in it, that I work for a company which does good work also. I think it is also good for the investors also. I'm sure lots of examples you have seen in the past that something goes in the wrong in the industry, isn't it the company, and the investors starts withdrawing. They would not want to be associated with a company which is in some kind of a risk, reputational risk. So I think it makes sense in terms of perception, in terms of your what you call it, talents, relationships. And I think the biggest thing about CSR for me, why it is a business, is that we should be focusing, the larger message which the company should be giving is that we care. We are not here to make profit, but we care for the people, we care for the nation, and we want to contribute in the nation building. If that kind of message is given, then it's also a true business sense for them. Thank you.
Satakshi, what's your take on that?
No, I actually agree with Sir what he said, that it's actually a combination of all different aspects. But I would say it is a core business ethic, CSR, and with over 5-6 years of working with different corporates, we've realized that for them, even today in India, CSR is a gray sort of concept, and they try to mix it with HR. But once we get into it, they realize, like Sir was saying, the brand value to it, how stakeholder engagement happens, how companies are seen by their customers, consumers, which I think we also discussed in the earlier panel. So it is definitely more than just compliance. And it also holds the potential and capacity to actually becoming very catalytic, which is what we've been trying to do in the country, push corporates to not just become compliant, but also adopt to strategies that build large-scale impact and move towards a phase where they are more of catalyst in bringing a change in the society. So overall, it is definitely about responsible business, transparency, accountability towards its consumers, corporate ethics, and core, responsibility of the business. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it would be interesting to gather some information from Nepali companies as well. I mean, how would they like to sort of think when they think about CSR? Ujjwalji, perhaps you might want to shed some light on this. What first comes to your mind when you think of this word?
First off, CSR bhaneko Nepalma, I think charity and donation comes first. And that's what people generally feel in Nepal. By giving is CSR. But if you really look at CSR, I think one of the panelists already mentioned, I personally look at branding of the company. I personally look at customer loyalty. I personally look at employee confidence. They feel pride if you see these kind of your companies being placed around the country in Nepal context, right? Compliance, it's there. If you look at Nepal's compliance, I think we have the best laws and best systems in Nepal, but the country context is somewhere else. The Niyam Aru is different. It's very advanced, right? So the awareness among even the corporates or business people are still not very strong to understand CSR, I feel, including myself. Because what are the strategic integration I have done? I've done very limited in the last few years. I could have done much before, but I'm learning now what are the strategic integration needed in my company. So compliance, bhaneko, in a country like Nepal is needed. It needs to be governed. I see that in India, the compliance is 2%, right? In Nepal, it's 1%. And still in Nepal, 1% compliance has not been met. It's been tax governed, so if it's not met, this and that is there. But then eventually it has to come within. If you look at the disasters that's happened in Nepal, in the last 2-3 disasters, nobody thought about CSR. They went all out, shut their companies to support. So that comes from your heart, right? So CSR is all about the mindset of the Nepalese people, how it should change, that we are giving back to the community. As a individual person doing business or a corporate, I think giving back to a community is part of bringing up the nation. And I strongly believe that businessmen, entrepreneurs build nation. And that is also through CSR.
Right. Thank you. And in fact, that's a very honest acceptance of that we all are evolving and trying to understand and grapple with the whole terminology, what it is all about. Premji, what sparks you? I mean, what moves you when you think of this word?
I'll give a perspective of a company that's managed by professionals. So as a company, as professionals, we are managing investment of owners, shareholders. So there are other stakeholders, a number of stakeholders. Let's count. Government is one. Like in company that I represent, government has the highest stakeholder because it takes around 70% of value that we add. Then there are employees, they get salary. Providers of finance, they get interest. Shareholders get dividend. But we do have larger stakeholders in terms of community. Communities surrounding the catchment of our operations. Let's say we have 5 factories, so communities around our factories, they do have, some expectation from us. So we see CSR as, meeting expectation of those stakeholders who are, not directly involved with us legally, but they have something to do with us because we operate in this society. They might be our consumer, they might be, they are member of society where we operate. So we have some responsibility towards them. So we see CSR as our responsibility to meet their expectation. Like as a professional, I have responsibility to meet my shareholders' expectation, government's expectation. I do have responsibility to meet other stakeholders' expectation. I think CSR is part of that for us.
Right. So in a way, it's kind of managing the expectations of many stakeholders out there, right? So Takshi, I mean, you have been working in this sector for a long time by now. Would you mind sharing some of the good examples of good models that's been implemented in India that could be emulated in Nepal as well?
Yes. So there are a few things that at Samhita we are doing, which, have garnered a lot of support, plus has, given a multifold impact on society. So I can start with a few examples. One of those is a flagship project that we are doing, which is called Mera Gaon Mera Pride. It is also something which you can say is innovative because we are trying to leverage the government networks that are available on the grassroots in our country, which is called the Common Service Center, and bringing in different corporates to support the Mera Gaon Mera Pride project. So how corporates do that is they leverage on this network on ground, which is in the remotest locations in India, and through these people who work at CSCs, who are also a part of the same community, deliver different sorts of interventions. It can be skill development, it can be trainings on financial digital literacy, it can be entrepreneurship development. So we are trying to develop it as a unit in each of the states where government network is leveraged and corporates can come in, support and exit at any point of time. So we are trying to build a large scale network which is, based on an existing network, but gives a multifold impact and delivers a large scale impact. So for any large scale impact that needs to be executed, you need government on your side, right? Because mandates, regulatory governance, frameworks, etc. come from them. So if you have them by your side and you build that large scale partnership, you can definitely see a change. So that is one. Then there is a blended finance continuum that we, have been working on for some time, which looks at different models. So we started this alliance. We actually were speaking in the prior panel also that how alliances are being built, which is a network of different types of stakeholders coming together and delivering a large scale impact. So a blended finance continuum, we've seen large impact, like we've reached more than 70,000 micro and nano entrepreneurs in the country with the blended finance continuum. What I mean by that is there are 3 different models that we work with. One is returnable grants, which is a moral obligation to return the grant. It's a very small amount, which any corporate can support us with. So that is one, and it gives a push to entrepreneurs who are home-based or women entrepreneurs who are trying to start something of their own. So, and since it's a moral obligation, once a small business starts off, we've seen 100% return rate of that moral obligation, seed amount little bit that's given, and then that same amount replicates and goes to another person, then to another person once it's returned. So it's a cycle that we are creating by doing that, right? So the money is the same, but it's going to different people and coming back to you. So that we've impacted more than 70,000 people, and it started sometime in COVID. Then there is something called a pre-credit score, where we are trying to build credit worthiness of these home-based entrepreneurs, which is how you have a CIBIL score, right? But these people don't have it because they don't have a loan-taking capacity or a credit score or, the capacity to do it. But based on social indicators, we're trying to do that, and the government and corporates come in and support us with that. So we've also reached out to some more than 10,000, entrepreneurs there. So what I'm trying to say is these are some of the case studies that we see are successful, but these are all multi-stakeholder alliances that are working with support of the government, impact consulting firms, grassroots organizations, and the government and corporates. Obviously, they play a major role. And all of them can align it with their CSR policies that, they have internally aligned themselves with. It can be skills, it can be literacy, it can be livelihood, it can be school education, anything. So you choose from a basket of interventions and pick up something and support, communities. So these are some of the case studies that I would like to highlight, yeah.
Right, thank you. And Saqib, you have also worked with the multiple countries. Perhaps you could also bring in some of the case studies, positive case studies that could be replicated in Nepal.
How much time do you have for this?
Very less. I could see 13 minutes time to pack up this session.
So 2-3 minutes is good enough, right? I feel that, the CSR landscape for me is very innovative and very adventurous. The reason I'm saying is that sky is the limit over here. It depends on your creative thinking. I would like to give some good examples from other countries, but I would also want to give some of the examples which is a big lesson for you, which hasn't succeeded, right, isn't it? The first example is the entire demystification of triple bottom line, what we call it PPP. We have been talking about it, right? Mero, the biggest objection, I'm sure Ujjwal will agree to it, that whenever we talk about corporate, we talk about the first P, profit. These corporate people are the people also. They have a heart. They also care for the poor, isn't it? It's not that the P of profit might be a bit bigger, but P of people and planet might be smaller, but it's still there. So the first thing is that if you're talking about PPP in a corporate world, we should try to ensure that when you're focusing on the first P, you don't cause harm to the people, number one. Number two, you don't cause harm to the planet. First principle. Second principle is that there are certain industries which will cause harm. It has to. Then how do you offset those harms from the environment, from the people? That should be the second philosophy of, focusing on PPP. Let me give some examples also. It's very easy. Go to the world plastic audit reports of very corporates. I'm giving you a very simple example. Go to the water audit of some of the corporates, and then I don't want to name them, then you'll know that who are the biggest plastic polluters, who are the biggest water extractors. And then you understand that these are the agencies, they are being kind of defamed for their negative impact on the environment. The people, they want to do something good over there, focusing on the same thing. The biggest example could be like, I was working in Bangladesh and Coca-Cola was our partner. Coca-Cola ki mandate theo. They wanted to remove plastics from the ecosystem because Coca-Cola, but they throw millions and millions and millions of Coca-Cola bottles in the ecosystem. Number two, Coca-Cola's second mandate was, when you have a bottling unit, you extract lots of water from the ground. So their also second mandate is how do you recharge the water. So you have to understand the mandate of these organizations, what are they doing and what are they good at and what they should be focusing on. I also feel that India has a CSR Act, which talks about, isn't it, 5 billion net worth, isn't it? April 2014, turnover should be 10 billion, the profit should be 50 million and all. But I also feel that it misses one thing, which is called the common but differentiated responsibility. I think your corporate social responsibility should also be depending on the kind of industries you are. Whether you are a logging industry, whether you are a mining industry, what is the harm, what is the adverse impact you're causing on the people, and the planet should also define your CSR, I would say, limit. Right. Number 3 is that there are, right now in India, 23,000 companies which falls under CSR. They are doing CSR activities. But mostly we heard about 8 to 10 companies. Ambani's, Adani's, Munjal's and all, right, isn't it? So we have not been able to explore the full landscape over here. I also feel I was trying to look at the data from Nepal. How many companies are focusing on CSR? There is no data. The first thing I would say, let's focus on data over here. Let's focus on which companies is doing what, and then come out with a collaborative approach. Thank you.
Thanks, Sakib. Data is pretty important. In fact, Ujjwal, is there a space wherein we could kind of emulate some of these good practices in Nepal? And what's the obstacles that's stopping us?
Say, looking at our neighbor at the south in India, what things they are doing, most of the things are, practiced in Nepal after India, because that's always been very easy for Nepal, one. Second, what I think my panelists just talked about certain practices in India is very easily doable in Nepal, because there is so much opportunities for INGOs, NGOs to thrive in Nepal, because the work from the government sector is very poor. The private sector is not very aware of the CSR strategy. So there is ample scope. We will be a better example for India rather than taking from them, because we have so many things to really fulfill. Today, if you look at 3 areas that I always say, infrastructure, education, and health. So for us, I think being my company into manufacturing, purely manufacturing, we know what impact we are having in the environment or the community. So our focus is purely on how to make our product sustainable. So if you look at the developed countries outside Asia, most of them are having now Digo Utpadan, Digo Vikas, sustainable products. All that is the lingo that's going on. And that's where our Southeast Asia region is really pulling up their socks, because that is also part of our CSR for a manufacturing company. What is your product? What are you making? Is it sustainable or not? Panera Panchakanya Group today, we're the first company to get Green Pro in Nepal last year. That is basically sourcing from material, utilizing the material, managing the waste, well-being of the employee, safety, and consumer benefits. So all that thing, we got certified, the first company in Nepal, and now we're trying to work on other products that we manufacture to make it sustainable. So that is one aspect of corporate social responsibility. The other aspect is what we've done also is taking an example again from India. What we learned was I worked with Child Reach Nepal, and the project was called Project Chori, from the Padman India who had this. So we bought a machine. Now I'm just giving a short example because I don't want to take a lot of time. We bought a machine and gave it to this NGO, but my particular ask was, how is it going to be sustainable? Who's going to operate it? How long is it going to run? Then I'm going to give you this machine, and you have to put it. So they worked on the model, convinced us. Because we, private sector in Nepal, are so confused. I'm sorry to say there's so many NGOs, INGOs doing fantastic jobs, and some are doing businesses here. So we get very confused in that crowd. And we want really authentic people coming and proposing us, because we learn from them. The INGOs, NGOs are doing fantastic models where private sector can learn and even thrive on doing the CSR better, right? So they were able to take a local school in that village in Melamchi side and train the students and the teachers and the local villages to make that. It was not hiring a person from outside to make that sanitary pad. So that worked for 6 to 8 months, and there were banks buying those products, local banks from Nepal were buying that products. Today, if you ask me, where is it? I do not know, but it worked for 2-3 years, and I was happy about it. So that's what we seek. And these are things, practices that has come from India, and we've seen work, and why not in Nepal, of course.
Absolutely. Premji, can we kind of imagine out of the box and also think about, not doing regular things that's been kind of mandated by the government, but really creating a pool of entrepreneurs who could sort of generate this wealth for the nation and who could also invest in social capital as well. Can we do something like that?
Oh, yes. In fact, we are doing it currently also. That can be done. One of our, we do CSR under 4 distinct platforms. Surya Nepal ASA is where we focus on creating hope for future. There we work on creating livelihoods, education, health, and other sector-related sector. The other sector is Surya Nepal Prakirti. It's a distinct platform where we work for preservation of environment, urban plantation, mountain cleanup, and all those. The third one is Surya Nepal Adharshila. As a private enterprise, we can't take up large infrastructure project as part of CSR. But what we can do is Adharshila Nepali ma chahi, it's a stepping stone. Some projects that we take and so demonstrate the benefits, and that can be taken as an example, and government can scale it up. So in between, I'll share one example. We got there's a startup called Green Road. They were trying to work in the solid waste management sector and plastic management. These are NIT graduates from India. They had formed a company and also an NGO. So they wanted to work on plastic roads. Nepal ma oile in like 100% bitumen is used in asphalt road. So 10% of that bitumen can be replaced with plastic. So that has multiple benefit. One, roads are more durable. Second, you manage the plastic. Third is that you also create some employment around the enterprise that manage the plastic. So we entered into, and then this is something. The problem statement there is no regulation around plastic road. So whoever is building road cannot use plastic. So what we did is, in partnership with Department of Road, along with this startup of young entrepreneurs, we piloted a plastic road in Kathmandu. Now Department of Road is carrying out a research. So within a year's time, if we have norms, then there will be regulation which will kind of regulate building plastic road. That will be a significant achievement, because we can use plastic to build roads. We'll save forex because we import the entire bitumen that's used here. Similarly, we work in other sector which is in fact close to you, Surya Nepal Gatha. It's around preserving Nepali art, culture, literature. So these are 4 distinct platforms we work, and under each platforms we kind of examine at the project identification stage itself, can we help people create sustainable livelihood around the initiative that we do. Right. So building social entrepreneurs around the initiative that we take is one of our priority, and that is being done currently.
Right, thank you. I have to skip, given the constant of time, I have to skip the whole 2 slot of the other 10 questions that I was supposed to be asking you guys, but sorry for that. Any final thoughts that you think is very important that has to be shared with the, our listeners here, starting from Ujjwal?
I think we talked about compliance. Compliance is necessary in context of Nepal. There are countries who have used voluntary models on CSR, which has been very successful. And there are models where incentive has been very used well by the government. But in the context of Nepal, I think the biggest thing that the private sector and individuals of Nepal needs to understand the CSR impact in the country. So for us, we've purely identified 5 areas for Panchakanya Group. through Panchakanya Foundation, right? If it's impactful, is it measurable? Is it sustainable? That's what I ask my guys if they are going to do anything on CSR on behalf of the company. But we have only 5 areas that we really like to scale up our CSR on. One is education, environment, health and sanitation, heritage and culture, and the 5th is skill development. Nepal skill base is very low, and we've been investing quite a lot in the past many years. But what I've realized in the recent research that I'm doing, there are companies who are very profitable. I used CSR as a way and means of really making the brand stand out successfully. And that's, I think, most of us should really do, because some of us are doing silently and quietly and enjoying that benefit in the community, but then the story should be heard more out and about. I think that's what the panelists also shared, interestingly. So that's what I would say. Thank you.
Saqib, any final thoughts? Just in a line or two, right?
I think the role of CSR in nation building is underrated, misunderstood, and not fully explored. I think CSR is not about money. I think they bring in so many huge resources. I'm sure Surya would have the best management talents in Nepal, isn't one of the best, right, isn't it? So why are you just thinking about money? Why can't you use your talent, your skills and expertise in nation building towards CSR? I give you just one example. I was in Bangladesh, and during this COVID, we were struggling. How do we ensure that the COVID vaccine, we take it to 16 hours by boat in one of the remote islands? We were struggling, and some of the corporates were already there with their ice creams and their Coca-Colas. So they have an efficient system already. They are doing it every day. Why are we trying to, invent it? Why don't we collaborate? Why don't we work together? And that's my, humble suggestion. I feel the CSR has a huge presence. The civil society has a huge expertise in terms of their presence on the ground, in terms of understanding the needs and aspirations of the community. You have a very different kind of a talent. And if we, start talking to each other, if we start understanding each other, if we start collaborating with each other, then sky is the limit. Thank you.
Saptakshi?
Yeah, I think just 2 cents on what CSR can do. Like Sir was saying, CSR has huge potential, which I completely believe in. So there's a lot of potential to be, like I was saying, to be a catalyst for change. That's one. Second will be build large multi-stakeholder networks, alliances, or collaborations. That is 2. And third would be, while there are compliance-related processes that are already there or being adapted to, one important aspect that in the last 4 years we've seen also in India is mandatory disclosure of the impact that you're creating, both financial and social, which definitely leads, a lot of corporates who still are thinking of it as a little bit, okay, we'll just do one set of activity and get done with it. No, it's trying to build accountability, which is very important. So these are 3 things that I think can actually increase the role of CSR in building any nation. Yeah.
Thanks. Premji?
I agree with him. CSR is more than money, and it has to be more than money. As I was sitting here, when we were discussing the policy framework and was just going through number, Hamro last year's corporate tax collection, as per budget statement, is 16,000 crore. So going by that, average 25% tax is 62,000 corporate profit. So 1% of that, assuming PBT, for banking sector is 1% of PAT. So 1% of 62,000 crores, 620 crore. So it will be slightly less because banking sector is 1% of PAT. So it is around 5 to 600 crore. As part of CSR. So it has to be more than paisa. It has to be more than money. If corporates use expertise and talent that is beyond money, they can contribute significantly under the CSR programs.
Thank you. Thank you so much, panelists. With this, I'd like to open the floor. And I'd also like to announce that, for the good questions, there are some chocolates as well. So please be specific and direct, and raise your hands if at all you have any questions. We just have 5 minutes left for the Q&A.
Like the moderator mentioned, a little incentive, some sweets to get you started. I'm sure if you are feeling a little down on the energy post-lunch, then you can most definitely energize yourself. We have opened the floor for some Q&A. If there are any questions as such to any of our panelists, we highly encourage you to participate. हामीसँग विभिन्न सेक्टरका प्रतिनिधिज्यूहरू पनि हुनुहुन्छ उहाँहरूलाई पनि सीएसआर सम्बन्धी उहाँले गरिराख्नु भएका कार्य सम्बन्धी र गर्नुपर्ने काम सम्बन्धी के कुराहरू छन् भने पनि यहाँले यो प्लेटफर्म युज गरेर आफ्ना कुराहरू राख्न सक्नुहुन्छ भनेर पनि इन्करेज गर्न चाहन्छु All right, I think everybody's still digesting their food a little bit post-lunch, but thank you and a big round of applause to all our panelists and to our moderator as well. I'd like to invite Prithvi sir to kindly join us onto the stage. Prithvi sir lai hamra sampurna moderator सँगसँगै सम्पूर्ण प्यानलिस्टहरूलाई यो मायाको चिन्ह प्रदान गरिदिनु हुनको लागि म हार्दिक अनुरोध गर्न चाहन्छु. Can we please have the token of appreciations also brought onto the stage? Thank you very much one more time to all our panelists and our moderator who discussed on the case studies of successful CSR models and how can Nepal really adapt and scale these impactful initiatives. उहाँहरूले आफ्नो अन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङबाट पनि के कस्ता कार्यहरू गरिराख्नु भएको छ भनेर कुराहरू त भनिहाल्नु भयो र सँगसँगै कस्तो हुन सक्छ भन्ने कुराहरूको पनि हामीले अलिकति एक्सप्लोरेसन गर्यौं. Thank you to Mr. Prem Narayan Aryal, Finance and Company Secretary at Surya Nepal Private Limited. Surya Nepalले गरेका कुराहरू पनि उहाँले अगाडि सार्नु भयो and he also highlighted and agreed with the fact that CSR should be more than money. Shakib जीले भन्नुभएको जस्तै उहाँले पनि त्यो कुरामा अग्री गर्नुभयो र CSR इनिशिएटिभ्सहरु चाहिँ पैसा मात्रै दिने भन्दा पनि बाहेक अलिकति बढेर गर्नुपर्छ भने पृथ्वी सर please do the honors. We'd like to thank our moderator, Mr. Sumit Sharma Shamir. उहाँ पडकास्ट पनि गर्नुहुन्छ उहाँले पडकास्टमा पनि आफ्नो कुराहरू यस्तै ल्याइराख्नुहुन्छ अगाडि सारिराख्नुहुन्छ त्यसको लागि पनि धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छौँ र छोटो टाइम कन्स्टेन्टको बावजुद पनि यो छोटो समयमै उहाँले हाम्रा प्यानलिस्टहरुसँग इन्टर्याक्ट गर्नुभयो त्यसका लागि पनि धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद. We'd also like to thank Mr. Ujjwal Shrestha. Thank you very much Ujjwal sir for sharing your remarks in this August gathering र पञ्चकन्या ग्रुपले पनि CSR का के कस्ता इनिशिएटिभ्स लिइराख्नु भएको छ भन्ने बारेमा हामीलाई जानकारी दिनुभयो त्यसको लागि पनि धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद. We also like to thank Mr. Shakib Nabi, the country director of Wealth Hunger Hilfe. उहाँले यङ हुँदाखेरिको आफ्नो एक्सपिरियन्स कम्पनीहरूले कसरी CSR गर्छन् ठुला ठुला कम्पनीहरूले गरेका CSR के कस्ता छन् भनेर पनि हामीलाई सुनाउनु भयो र अहिले आफैले पनि कसरी इन्भल्भ भइराख्नु भएको छ त्यसको पनि कुरा राख्नु भयो त्यसको लागि धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद. We would also now like to thank Ms. Satakshi Bhatt, the manager for research and knowledge at Samita Social Ventures. Thank you very much ma'am for sharing your insights, your experiences. Definitely a lot that we can learn, implement and scale. I'd like to request everyone to kindly step forward for a group photograph. यो panel discussion का लागि धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद दिँदै यहाँहरु सम्पूर्णलाई अलिकति अगाडि बढिदिनु हुनका लागि म हार्दिक अनुरोध गर्न चाहन्छु. Thank you very much for inspiring us and sharing us your insights. These case studies also remind us that CSR isn't just about giving back, but it's most important about creating lasting impacts as well. So thank you very much to everyone. It's clear, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, that Nepal has the potential to adapt and scale these models, tailoring them to our local context and needs as well. So big thank you one more time to all our panelists. We also like to thank Z Foundation, Nabil Bank, Skill Best, NGO Federation of Nepal and Wealth Hunger Hilfe, Nepal India Chamber of Commerce, Surya Nepal, Panchakanya Group, Shine Resunga Development Bank, School of Technical Analysis, Assurance Incorporation Management Service Private Limited र यहाँहरु सम्पूर्णलाई पनि धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद. अघि मैले बताए जस्तै हाम्रो जी फाउन्डेसन सँग मिलेर हाम्रा अर्गनाइजर्सहरुले आज चाहिँ कलेक्ट भएको रेभेन्यूबाट चाहिँ नि 400 जना फार्मर्सहरुलाई तीनवटा डिफरेन्ट सिटीजका 400 फार्मर्सहरुलाई फाइनान्शियल लिटरेसी जस्तो महत्त्वपूर्ण विषयमा उहाँहरुले इनलाइटन गर्ने प्रयास गर्नुहुनेछ. So thank you to each and every one of you as well for contributing to that is what we would like to say. अब हामी हाम्रो तेस्रो प्यानल डिस्कसन तर्फ स्विफ्टली अगाडि बढ्न चाहन्छौँ र तेस्रो प्यानल डिस्कसन निकै नै महत्त्वपूर्ण विषय पनि रहेको छ. पहिलो र दोस्रो प्यानल डिस्कसनमा पनि हामीले थोरै अलिकति प्राइभेट सेक्टर इन्गेजमेन्टको बारेमा पनि कुरा गऱ्यौँ. विभिन्न मोडल्सहरू अपनाए कसो होला भन्ने पनि एक्सप्लोरेसन हामी गर्दै थियौँ. सो दिस पर्टिकुलर प्यानल डिस्कसन इज अन प्राइभेट सेक्टर इन्गेजमेन्ट इन CSR, strengthening the public-private partnerships for sustainable development. CSRमा निजी क्षेत्रको संलग्नता के भइरहेको छ, कसरी त्यसलाई इम्प्रुभ गर्न सकिन्छ त भन्ने विषयमा छलफल गर्नका लागि हामीसँग हाम्रा एस्टिम्ड प्यानलिस्टहरू पनि हुनुहुन्छ. I'd like to invite Honorable Uday Shamsher Rana to kindly join us onto the stage as a panelist for this session. He's a member of Parliament of the House of Representatives. उहाँलाई धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद आजको यस विशेष कार्यक्रममा प्यानलिस्टको भूमिका निभाएर हामीलाई साथ दिन यहाँ उपस्थित हुनुभएकोमा. उहाँ सँगसँगै हामी निम्ति आउन चाहन्छौँ. We'd also like to invite Mr. Anurag Krishna, former CSR Regional Head, North India of Tata Consultancy Services. Thank you very much to Mr. Anurag for joining us and for being here with us. We'd also like to invite Mr. Rajan Sharma, General Secretary of Nepal India Chamber of Commerce and Industry. उहाँलाई पनि जोरदार तालीले मञ्चमा स्वागत गरिदिनु हुनका लागि म यहाँहरू सम्पूर्णलाई हार्दिक अनुरोध गर्न चाहन्छु. Nepal India Chamber of Commerce and Industry is also supported by partner for this beautiful event. I'd also like to invite Ms. Vidushi Rana to kindly join us onto the stage, the Executive Director of Gold Star Shoes. उहाँले पनि आफ्नो ओपिनियन्सहरू, आफ्नो एक्सपिरियन्सेसहरू हामीसँग अवश्य पनि सेयर गर्नुहुनेछ CSR सँग रिलेटेड र प्राइभेट सेक्टर इन्गेजमेन्ट यो सेक्टरमा यो CSR मा कस्तो हुन सक्छ त भन्ने बारेमा. र हाम्रा सम्पूर्ण प्यानलिस्टहरूलाई मोडरेट गरिदिनु हुनका लागि म निम्ति आउन चाहन्छु मिडिया पर्सनालिटी जर्नलिस्ट मिस्टर मोदनाथ ढकालजीलाई. उहाँलाई अगाडि आएर मोडरेटरको भूमिका निभाइदिनु हुनका लागि म हार्दिक अनुरोध गर्न चाहन्छु र यहाँहरू सम्पूर्णलाई पनि पुनः एकपटक हामी धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छौँ. र यो प्यानल डिस्कसनमा पनि मोस्ट डेफिनेटली इङ्गेज र एक्टिभ पार्टिसिपेसन राख्नुहोला भन्ने अनुरोधका साथ अब प्राइभेट सेक्टर इङ्गेजमेन्ट इन CSR, स्ट्रेन्थनिङ पब्लिक प्राइभेट पार्टनरसिप्स फर सस्टेनेबल डेभलपमेन्ट भन्ने हाम्रो तेस्रो प्यानल डिस्कसनलाई अगाडि बढाइदिनु हुनका लागि हाम्रा मोडरेटरज्यूलाई हार्दिक अनुरोध गर्दछु.
Am I audible? Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, panelists. This session we have, I think, we are going to talk about from policy issues. We have Honorable Member of Parliament, Mr. Uday Shamsher Rana. Likewise, we have Mr. Anurag Krishna from India, and he will be sharing his ideas on Indian practice experience as well as cross-border or maybe bilateral practices if there is any kind of possibilities that we have between Nepal and India. And likewise, we have Mr. Rajan Sharma, who is General Secretary of Nepal India Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and he has a vast amount of knowledge. He has already served as the President of Freight Forwarders Association of Nepal. Likewise, he is also the consultant to the World Bank and many other organizations. Likewise, we have young, energetic entrepreneur, Ms. Vidushi Rana, who is leading the Gold Star Shoes, Kiran Shoes Manufacturers. And with this, let's begin. And to set the tone of this event, to set the tone of this particular panel, I would like to begin with the experience of the entrepreneur, and I would like to go to Vidushi ma'am. Could you explain, could you share your experience on the status of CSR in the private sector in Nepal? I would like to request you to wrap up your ideas in 2 to 3 minutes, please.
Hello, am I audible? Good afternoon, everybody in this hall, and thank you so much for having me as one of the panelists with this distinguished group. So when you talk about CSR, it's not just charity, but it's corporate responsibility towards society. And when I talk about my company, Gold Star Shoes, for us it's very, very important because Gold Star is a 55-year-old brand, and we've been, CSR is part of our part of us, and we're very, very careful about how to monitor that. Of course, we've been doing a lot of CSR activities like giving away shoes. There are a lot of villages in Nepal where students are unable to go to school because they don't have proper footwear. They have to walk for 1 hour, 1.5 hours, and we provide shoes to them. We provide shoes to disaster management. Like there was an earthquake last year, and we provided 10,000 pair of shoes. We give shoes to organizations like INDO-NEPAL, to a lot of orphanages, and all of that. But more than that we've been doing, which is like 1% of our profit, and we do it because that's mandatory, and it's in our DNA. But what I am proud of at Gold Star Shoes is the skill development that we do. We have more than 3,000 workers working for us at the moment, and out of that, 70% are women from marginalized communities, men from marginalized communities. These are people who've never gone to school. They don't have they will not get proper jobs, or they cannot even leave the country because they're unable to. So these are the people, these are the women that we hire, and we give them 3 months training, skill development training at the factory itself. Gold Star Shoes is the biggest factory inside of Kathmandu, employing more than 3,000 people. And this is the training that we give to these women. And after 3 months, and even during the 3 months, we give them the stipulated salary that the government has stipulated. So they get the salary, and when you go and talk to these women about how financially independent now that they are, when they can take home 20, 25, 30,000, the respect that they get, the dignity that they can live with now, the respect that they get from the in-laws, the food that they are able to put on the table, and the respect and dignity. I think that for me is the heart of any CSR, to make a difference, to make a sustainable difference in anybody's life.
Can you briefly also tell us about what do you see in other companies, or in overall Nepalese sector, industrial sector?
I would not know about what other companies are doing, but I know that we are, I don't know if any other company is also giving salary to their, to their workers while being trained, because it is a challenge for us, because those 3 months, that is like on-the-job training where they get their salary, but they also, because they are just being trained for the first time, they are going to destroy a lot of things, because, and we have to take that brunt. But it's okay because we've been doing it for a while now, and we don't want to stop doing it. I don't know if other companies are doing it, but especially for factories, for people to be trained, because we don't have training centers as such. The government doesn't have a training center where they would do skill development training, so we have to do it ourselves.
Yeah, thank you. Now I'd like to ask for the views of Mr. Rajan Sharma. How do you evaluate the policy environment? Also, I would like to request you to give a brief intro of CSR, about type of overview in Nepalese private sector. Also talk about the policy environment for CSR in Nepal.
Thank you very much. Lots have been said from the first session and the second session on what CSR is. And then what I agree upon is that it has to come from the heart to have a value of what you are doing, rather than, monitor or, rule out and then make it compulsory for someone. It must be very clear that business houses are meant for earning money, which has been said and covered in the first and second session as well. And that whatever they do is an additional work, and that has to be linked with what they are doing and must be benefited for their own score sort of a business. For example, whatever they do for the society must be attracted towards their product or towards their service, be it a bank or a product, manufacturing, and that must enhance that. And of course, the society will also keep the producer on their toes, because they are aware and they keep on knocking for them to maintain quality, maintain the environment, and maintain, stability in the society, look for the livelihoods, and so many other things. So CSR, what I understand is that, is very, very important, but it is a little bit different in compared to, when we are doing a sort of a forcing out the companies to, you have to do it in a certain thing. The main thing which I would like to say here is that in Nepal, the CSR, everybody wants to become a hero. The bank wants to become a hero, the army wants to become a hero, the police wants to become a hero. Everyone wants to do the CSR in the individual capacity, and they want to so say that we did this and we did that. I think we need to get away with all this. Now we need one organization, and everybody must believe in this organization. That organization should be responsible for taking care of any, activities it is. And this activities is not activities in general, not just linking it with the SDG goals and things like that. It has to be, area specific. The need assessment has to be there. Somewhere maybe for education, somewhere maybe for sanitation, somewhere for wellness. So, you put everything in one basket, so there is a use gap in the policy. So there's a lot of things that we need to do, and I hope the outcomes of this type of, events will help government, frame the right type of policies.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Sharma. Very, very much thank you for this information. And we really do have not only gap in policy, we also do have a shortage of funds. Even if you accumulate the overall funds of all CSR 1% from the profits of private enterprises, I think we could have about 4 to 5 billion rupees a year. So it's a very small amount of money. We cannot do that. So we have Mr. Anurag Krishna, who is the CSR regional head for North India, Tata Consultancy Services, a very, very big company and conducting a lot of CSR across the India and having a lot of experience in the sector as well. So I would like to ask him, do Indian private sector companies have noticeable public-private partnership projects in CSR? Because we don't have in Nepal, I would like to just inform you. And what are the areas that would be more suitable for PPP engagement in terms of CSR, if we talk about Nepal and Indian societies and given the business environment here?
Great, yeah, thanks, Maud. So small correction. I worked for TCS, Tata Consulting Services, till 20th February. So after that, I thought I'll see the world outside Tata's and what the social work others are doing. So I'm on board of a lot of social organizations and also freelancing. So that's a correction. Secondly, the mode of the whole conversation for this today, and thanks BIFCAP for having me here. So let's change the mode slightly. It has been, that's what my personal opinion is, that it is more like everything is being said that what you want to learn from India. So I would like to correct that a lot of learning will come from Nepal also. So just to quote that, today I'm a person of information as well. So today is the iconic day, when 1984, 23rd May 1984, the first Indian woman scaled the Mount Everest. And that was from Nepal side. So let's clap for Nepal for this. So what I'm trying to say with this statement is that the contribution of Nepal towards India is also inspiring. So let's make it that way. Now coming to your question particularly, so as Sir said that it's not all about profitability which a company should see, but I will slightly differ because a company is judged by a lot of metrics, and financials is the number one, right? So if you know that Microsoft is the number one company in the world, so you don't know Microsoft as number one just because of its activities of social development. It is because of their excellence in technology, right? So you should always focus, a company should always focus on its core area. But having also done in that core area, you can do a lot of contributions. So as Vidushi mentioned, that they have been training on the job a lot of citizens of Nepal so that they become skill developed in her industry. Perfectly right, there's nothing wrong. So that's what is corporate social responsibility is. Why would a company invest somewhere which goes down the drain, so as to say? So suppose if my company, TCS, else company, means former company, takes a lot of graduates of India who are, by degree they are computer literate, but believe me, I started my career in technology, so they can't generate a single revenue on day one. So we do a lot of training for them, and that is what is investment. But in a deeper context of societal development, that is CSR. So let's change the mindset that CSR is giving money and then just forgetting about it. So if you all guys know, there was a famous ad. Sir would know, you have been in India. So there was a Hero Moto ad. If you remember, in my days it was there. And a lot of young audiences there, so I don't know whether you'll correlate, but that was fill it, shut it, and forget it. So that is what, that was for fuel efficiency, but it is used in a lot of context, that you fill it, you shut it, and forget it. That is not CSR funding. So like a lot of panelists said, that a lot of monitoring is also happening now. Earlier it used to be just they means give it. Somebody would land at your door, as that's how philanthropy started, right? And it was means you used to just think that why he has appeared at my place, but now since he has come, I have to give it. So that is fill it, just give money to him, and just shut it and let it go and don't follow it. Because there was a huge risk that if you'll follow it, he will come again. And so that whole concept is changing, but having said that, the profitability still has to be a key area in doing it. And subsequently, I'll tell you more about what India and the companies.
Could you shed light on government-private collaboration in CSR programs?
So yeah, I was reserving it for the next one, but yeah, quickly in 1 minute. So basically, like Tata's, I don't want to quote groups, and I don't want to name groups because there's always a chance that I miss some of them. So, but almost all the groups of our country has a legacy of collaborating with the government, and this law which came in 2000 later years, that is just an add up to it. So one more trivia I want to tell all of the audience, and especially the younger one, that any guesses who has been the biggest philanthropist in the whole world? Can you guess? So that is Jamshedji Tata, and he was the founder of Tata Group. And when he died in 1903, and he had already denoted in current money, inflation adjusted, is a huge amount of $103 billion. $103 billion, ladies and gentlemen, before any law came into India. So that's the biggest example of partnerships. And the second person we all know is Bill Gates. So, and the difference between Jamshedji Tata and Bill Gates is about $30 billion. So he has donated only 72. I'm saying only because we always tend to forget what happened 100 or more than 100 years back. So I'll tell more about that in the subsequent one.
Thank you, Mr. Krishna. Now I would like to move to Uday Dai. He is not only the member of the parliament, he has already served as the Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance. So he has a very good understanding of Nepali political and socio-economic situation or status. So I would like to, we would like to hear from him. So how are the political parties or the government in Nepal sensitized about the CSR?
Well, political parties and CSR, I think CSR would be more towards corporates.
No, I'm asking. I would like to correct this question. How do they take up the issues of CSR? Let's not go to how do they implement or practice CSR. So how do they take up the issues of CSR as an institutions, our political parties and the government, both of?
Okay, let me just, because I'm not really getting your question, because as I said, CSR is, mainly focused on the private sector in the corporate, various private companies. Political parties is, whether you can't really call it CSR, but our job is for social service, right? So we can't really connect up. But when you look at Nepal as such, when you talk about CSR and its policies, that's where the political parties come in, because we make the policies, right? So when we look at our CSR policies in Nepal, it tends to get a little restricted. It's very, very guided to a large extent, especially with the banks. Yeah. Now with the banks, especially in the last 3 or 4 years, the banks have almost been told what to do and where to do. I think we need to keep that open. Okay, In CSR, as someone said before, it's just not about money, it's about passion. So say a CEO or a chairman of a bank, if he's from some particular place, maybe he would want to go around that area to make his contribution. Or if he's got passion for certain field, maybe if he's got a background of sports, then maybe he can get involved there. You know, with CSR and sports, I always try and connect, especially in Nepal, because when I was in the finance ministry, just before that I was the youth organized president of my party, and there's very, very limited money in sports and youth ministry. It's less than 1%. It hasn't changed. I try to change that, but there's not enough money. So sports is one place where, and youth is where even you can concentrate. But basically what I'm saying, especially for the banks, the policies are too guided. It has to be opened up. Hopefully we've got a new governor finally, and maybe things will change. And for example, Standard Chartered was not able to fulfill the commitment. And even the fines that are put, it's 1.5% of your profit. So that's huge. So if you want to put that kind of a fine, I think it should be more open-ended.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Indeed, the Nepalese CSR initiatives and programs are largely, I don't say completely, as the Honorable Rana said, largely depend on banks and multinational companies, largely. And because it was an NRB that set up the guidance for the CSR, I think in a proactive manner, so that the banks were forced to conduct CSR activities while it was voluntary for other sectors initially. Yeah, thank you so much, Dai. And I would like to again move to Vidushi ma'am. Do you see any kind of possibility of CSR collaboration between the government and the private sector, let's say your companies or any government institutions in future?
Just to add on to what Uday just said about how, when there is, just to add on to that, and I'll answer to your questions. He said that if a company or the owners or the management have a passion to do CSR for a certain project like sports, then it just comes from within, more than that 1% of your profit. So I just want to add on to that, that we're doing that already in the name of my late, in the memory of my late in-laws. So we had a program yesterday. Every year, through Noor Ganga Foundation, we give awards and money to people who have excelled in Palpa and those areas in arts and culture and children literature, because those are the things that are forgotten about. So though we are a shoe company, because that's a passion for us, the art, culture, that's a passion for us, so we do that. Also, like he mentioned about how you should, when you talk about CSR, you also talk about the welfare and the benefits of your own people. Like I said, at Gold Star, we have 3,000 people, 70% of them are women, and then we also look after, like I think we're one of the very few companies who we give 90 days maternity leave to our women workers. And after that, most of them were unable to come back to work because they had to take care of the children. But now, next to our factory, we've opened a creche. We haven't opened the creche, but somebody's opened the creche, and we support that creche so that mothers can leave their children and then they can come to work. So, these are also a part of CSR. You don't really have to go out and do anything, but just making a difference in people's lives are, I think, very important. And to answer your question, yes, I think government, private-public partnership is very, very important. Just like I said, how skill development is so important. If only government could do skill development. Today, when I talk about just the footwear industry itself, there are 10 to 15,000 footwear industries in Nepal, small, medium, and large. And together, we give jobs to more than 50,000 people directly. Indirectly, it'll be like 2 lakh people. They're getting, and at least they don't have to leave Nepal and go to other countries to work. So if we can have a public-private partnership where government gives skill development training, and if they can train for 3 months, then we can, companies like us we can observe them. One. The other thing is like just making, simple tweaks, like in the policy. Like, you know, our problem is we take these people, we hire them, we train them for 3 months, but then in 3 months, in 4 months, in 5 months, they're just waiting for their passports to leave for Dubai or Malaysia and all those places. So if there can be a rule where the government can just put a rule saying that, okay, once we train them, once the government trains them and certifies them, and when we take them in the job, if they can be retained for even 1 year, so things like that, if the government can just come in. Other things that the government can do is look at these companies which are giving skill development, hiring women, hiring underprivileged people, and then look at these companies and give companies like these and companies which are doing CSR activities honestly and properly, look at those companies and give benefits like maybe a tax holiday or maybe export incentive.
Thank you. I would like to move to Mr. Sharma. CSR in Nepal are rather scattered programs, small programs by multiple companies and having no impact at all. Right? So could we have a certain arrangement or let's say a policy to make, accumulate those programs or at least have some larger impactful programs in Nepal?
So what you are talking about is multi-stakeholder program, where a lot of stakeholders become partners in order to make it. I can only give an example because I am a logistic guy. I work in the borders. I look after transport and logistics. And how probably Nepal could collaborate with multi-stakeholders in the bordering area to make difference and to their commitment towards social corporate responsibility. There are freight forwarders, and there are freight forwarders across the border. There are custom brokers here, there are custom brokers across the border. There is a bank here, there's a bank across the border. And there is customs, which is like a guardian who is taking care of all the actors along this supply chain where, the different activities are going on. And it is very vulnerable in the bordering area because a lot of illegal activities are going on. The children are having bad, experiences, their mindsets on, smuggling, and then human trafficking is also going on there. And there are so many other, cross-cultural activities that is happening due to movement of different type of goods, different type of, personalities or the professions, as well as different cultural people. So what probably we could do is that, collaborate with people across the border in India, with those in Nepal. There are banks, they are doing small things in a piecemeal basis and make a bigger, impact so that, the mindsets of the children are, brought to the right side, as well as, that we can mitigate in many other, cases like the human trafficking and other things and smuggling and many other activities, environmental, cases also, and livelihood. Moreover, there is a lot of, economic activities going on because you have the hard bazaars there. There is a hard bazaar in the Indian side, hard bazaar in the Nepalese side. So, there are small micro enterprises, working there. They need a lot of, guidance from us on how to do business, how to carry. And these logistic service providers could probably help them, reach their goods to that hard bazaar in a lower logistic cost.
Yeah. I would like to stop you here and I would like to ask for a brief opinion. Do we need impact measurement metrics for CSR in Nepal?
Of course we need that, naturally. What you are inputting, what is the output, what outcome are you getting, and then what is the impact, be it for anything. These are basic things that needs to be kept into mind, and once that has been done, only then you can measure. And then you have to have a KPIs well in advance, so that whether this KPIs you are being able to manage or not. And then there is to be a monitoring and evaluation system in each and every stage of the different projects that you give to the government on what you are going to do. So regular intervals, if you do that, you meet them, you make a very good impact.
Yeah, thank you.
That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. Now, Mr. Krishna, I would like to request you to kindly elaborate a bit about the policy for public-private partnership, CSR in India, and also what are the factors that makes a CSR an impactful and effective initiative for a private company as well as for the society? How can it be a win-win situation for the both?
Yeah, so as I said earlier, private entity will not collaborate at all if it is not a win-win situation. So that is the must thing. Coming to, what was the question? Basically, you asked that what is the impact of public?
So what makes a CSR program impactful and effective for both the company and the community?
Yeah, it is. So basically, community is been taken care by government, so as to say, in a way that whatever government wants to mandate, and it's not a political statement, I think it will be valid everywhere, that is what one has to do from private ask, right? So like our Prime Minister Modi, when he came in the first term, he made a very iconic statement that government is not in the business of business, right? But that didn't mean that he will not keep on tapping on the business houses. And that's what has been done, and there's nothing wrong about it. When the COVID came in big way all across the world and it hit India, right? So the most of the money which went to PM care was from the top business houses. And the impact of that was definitely asked, because as I said, no private company will give money for that, but whatever was the impact, that might be questionable, but we do have this mindset of being very accountable to the government as well, as a private.
So how can you make the community feel that it has received something from the CSR programs?
Feel means the private has given, or?
Yeah, yes.
So unfortunately, that is not the ethos of the company which I work for, Tata. So in fact, there is a very hard directive which has been given whenever I used to go to all the communities, that never mention that how much money you've given, because that is something which has been always been a big no-no, that you don't tend to give a sort of a feeling that money is making them feel better, as they say. But as in the earlier panel also, it was said that it's people which matters. And earlier, that's why I was going question-wise question. So earlier I took profit as the main yardstick, but now it's people for companies, bigger company houses like Tata's. And like we've been doing so much work in literacy, that the National Literacy Mission, which is in India, that is primarily been run by our programs which we do. We have a digital program of adult literacy, and it has gone to such a fact that we have guests from India, even they don't know, they won't be knowing that the government has stopped funding the National Literacy Mission. And the reason behind that is because they know that companies like big company houses like Tata's and Birla's, and also the PSU sectors like ONGC and the banks like HDFC Bank, they are doing so much in Saksharta, that's what literacy is in Hindi, that it's a successful thing. It's not discussed at all. So in this way.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Krishna. Yeah, I think we have an impression that if we are going to have PPP project in CSR in Nepal, this literacy and technology could be the primary areas to collaborate with. I mean, at least initially. So I would like to come to Honorable Nara. I have a rather philosophical question to you, Dai. So there is a huge gap in terms of achieving the sustainable development gaps, the development goals, right? So we are lack of resources, we are lack of funds. So how can private sector, through their CSR programs, can support this global as well as national initiative of achieving the SDGs?
Two ways of, firstly, the CSR effort tends to get a little scattered. I think someone mentioned it here. I think Rajanji mentioned it. So maybe then we can get more focused. Government and the private sector. Okay, just take the banking sector, for example. The Rashtra Bank and the Banking Association maybe can get together, and all of them can agree on a certain project or certain field which is part of the government's policies. So you work towards that. All the banks contribute. Rashtra Bank gets involved. And maybe we work towards that. Then it becomes more focused. It probably will have a bigger impact.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can do it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't expect all the companies and all the multinationals in Nepal to come together. But certain sectors, certain fields, the banking sectors maybe can get together, or or the FNCCI members get together and get focused on something. Then not only will it be more focused, but as you said, then maybe the government goals, the government plans can be put into practice without putting our taxpayers' money. The multinational companies or the cooperatives can contribute there.
Right. Thank you. So I also have one more round of questions. But before wrapping up my questions, I would like to go to the audience. If anybody would like to ask any questions to our panelist members. Oh, yeah. Best questions will also receive some type of prizes, surprise prize, Anybody?
So we really encourage our participants who've come from all over.
Please, sir, please identify yourself and your organization as well. Thank you.
Sir, namaskar. म नेपाल बैंक तर्फबाट पार्टिसिपेन्ट हो सर. मलाई एउटा क्वेसन सोध्न मन लाग्यो सर.
So your name please.
म अमर थापा from नेपाल बैंक. सर जुन CSR को प्रोग्रामहरु भइरहेछ विगत केही वर्षदेखि आइरहेको छ. हामी बैंक एन्ड फाइनान्शियल इन्स्टिट्युसनबाट अथवा प्रॉफिट मेकिङ अर्गनाइजेसनबाट जुन सर्टेन पर्सेन्ट अमाउन्ट त्यसमा हाल्नुपर्ने जुन प्रावधान छ त्यो रकमहरु चाहिँ सम्बन्धित संस्थाहरूले उनीहरुको आफ्नो अन्डरको कमिटीबाट विभिन्न शीर्षकहरुमा राष्ट्रिय बैंकबाट तोकिदिएका अथवा गभर्नमेन्टले भनिदिएका शीर्षकहरुमा बाँडिएको त हुन्छ तर त्यसरी बाँडिएको रकम सानो रकमहरु बाँडिने हुँदाखेरि त्यसको कुनै इम्प्याक्टफुल असर नपर्ने भएकोले र सबै बैंकहरुबाट अथवा अन्य संस्थाहरुबाट जति रकमहरु कलेक्सन हुन्छ त्यसको सर्टेन पर्सेन्ट त्यही संस्थालाई छोड्दिएर त्यसमध्ये केही ठूलो रकमहरुको कलेक्सन चाहिँ गरेर यदि यो ठूलो एउटा काम गर्ने भए त्यसको इम्प्याक्टफुल देखिने थियो लङ लास्टिङ त्यसको एउटा इफेक्ट देखिने थियो र हामीले भने जस्तै कुनै एउटा भनौं न अब बैंकिङ हस्पिटल अथवा कुनै पर्यावरणीय चाहिँ संरक्षणको लागि कुनै काम अथवा अन्य देखेका कुनै सोशल रेस्पोन्सिबिलिटीको लागि गरिने दिगो खालको कामहरु हुन सक्ने थियो त्यसो नभएकाले सानो सानो मात्रै रकमहरु छरिरहेको कारणले गर्दाखेरि त्यसबाट कहिले पनि इम्प्याक्टफुल र लङ लास्टिङ काम देखिन सकेन त्यसको लागि नियमनकारी निकायले पनि त्यस सम्बन्धी सोचेर चाहिँ काम अगाडि बढाइदियो हुन्थ्यो भन्ने लाग्छ.
Yes, thank you. We have the Executive Director from Nepal Rashtra Bank, Guru Paudil sir. I would like to welcome you to the program, sir. He is here. Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir. This is a very pertinent the questions for all of the enterprises across the country. Thank you, sir.
मेरो question हो विदुषी को लाई to Vidushi. I mean, I see that you are the only panelist who is really doing CSR on the ground. So I wanted a very honest confession from you, whether you feel you are very strategic, whether you feel you are focusing on one mandate. Every organization has a mandate, right? What is your core mandate for CSR? Or you think you are, kind of, into too many activities, scattered, or you have a very focused approach towards CSR? Thank you.
Do you here at the front, please?
अगाडिपट्टि हाम्रो सोफामा बसिरहनु भएको गेस्टको लागि पनि माइक्रोफोन ल्याइदिनुस् न प्लिज.
Thank you very much. I'm Man Bahadur Dhanamagar, working as a skill and enterprise development expert in Wealthungar Hilfer. My question is, we are talking about the public-private partnership, where we are missing the CSOs or community as well. Because regarding the CSR, the private company is working in isolated way, where the CSOs are also working in their own way. In every sector, like education, enterprise development, health, kind of thing. So, is it possible to work together or collaborate? Because if we work on that way, we can make huge difference. And then if we talk about PPP, I would like to request not to forget the community or CSOs as well. Thank you.
So would you like any of the panelists respond to your question?
I would like to request our Sharma sir on this. Yeah,
yes, thank you. Here, please. I think this would be the last question for this session. Please.
It's not a question really, but when Ms. Vidushi was talking about the skills gap, there is definitely that gap that we've identified in India as well. And there is Sector Skills Council in India, which is an autonomous sort of body developed by NSDC. And they do provide more than hundreds of, skill development courses, which, fills that gap of not having skills to youth's aspiration of seeking some sort of employment. And again, so what we do is we partner, like I was saying, with these government agencies and CSOs and try to bridge that gap for you to reach out to these, courses that are available and get certified by NSDC and Sector Skill Councils. And corporates support the entire logistics and, the entire functioning of, implementation of such a project or a program. So that's an example of PPP, right? So that is something that can be looked at as a model and, developed. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. So we have only 1.5 minutes. So I would like to buy a couple of minutes, please. And I would like to request Vidushi ma'am to respond to the queries, as well as I would like to touch upon briefly, so far as PPP models in Nepal are concerned, the government agencies are more like of, sharing their logos or names with the private companies and spending nothing. So it's mostly the entire cost of the private companies and name along with the government agencies. So your take on this as well, ma'am.
सबभन्दा पहिला त मलाई पहिला जसले प्रश्न सोध्नु भएको थियो त्यो नै एकदम मन पर्यो उहाँले जुन भन्नुभयो सबैतिर छरिरहेछ तर सबैजनाले एउटै कलेक्टिभली गरियो भने चाहिँ राम्रो हुन्छ भनेर म पनि त्यही धारणा छ किनभने 1% छ अहिलेको यस्तो स्थिति जुन चाहिँ इकोनोमिकली हामी सबै प्रब्लममा छौं हैन फाइनान्शियल प्रब्लम छ 1% भनेको कसैको पनि प्रफिट धेरै छैन र त्यो पनि छरिदाखेरि चाहिँ गाह्रो छ सो सबैजनाले मिलेर एउटै केसमा गर्न सक्यो भने चाहिँ आई थिंक दैट्स अ बेटर मोडल Mero question, I think my question was like, I'm sorry, but I didn't really get the question.
So the community members, right?
What was the...
You would like the involvement of community members? Somebody? Oh, no, it was for Rajan, sir.
Oh, is the question what kind of satisfaction that we get as doing CSR? I think, like I said, CSR is a corporate responsibility towards society, and for us, we feel very satisfied because we are able to make changes in the livelihoods of so many women. In the past 55 years, I think, like directly and indirectly, we've made a difference in the lives of millions of Nepalese, and that gives us satisfaction. And for us to be able to go to bed saying that's, feeling a sense of gratitude because we are able to put so many people on the job, and that is gratitude for us. And to answer not to answer, but that's an excellent model, and that's what I hope there's somebody from the government here, because that's what I'm trying to talk to the policymakers. In fact, like when I said that there are, footwear is providing jobs to 50,000 plus people, but still we don't even have a curriculum. We don't have anything, and that's what I've been fighting for, saying that we cannot be a country where we just rely on remittance, but we have to give jobs here, we have to create manufacturing, and that's my fight with the government, and that's the policy that I'm fighting for. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Coming to Mr. Sharma, you would like to, you have one question as well as I would like to, on top of that, I would like to add one more question. So, given the size, I already told the size of the fund and the limitation of the companies, so can we, or should Nepal have a policy to motivate or leverage the funds of multinational companies that are doing business in Nepal, but they are located somewhere else? For example, I have noted some like Prad. I think that is the individual company from Bangladesh. Nepal imports more than 3 billion Nepalese rupees a year from a single company. So like BYD, Nestle, Tata, so there are so many. Although they are Nepalese distributors are doing CSR, so should there be a policy for them to guide into the CSR programs?
See, two things. If you ask me as a businessman, as a trader, I say that, already to get access to the market because of the different difficulties that you have on the market access to Nepal and on the different hurdles that you make in order to entry your goods right away from Bangladesh or from India into Nepal due to the customs and other hassles that you have. Why should they have already given us an advantage by sending their goods, which is so much needed in Nepal. So whoever is importing it should be responsible for, doing the corporate responsibilities and for doing something within Nepal if they are making a good profit out of it. So it depends upon the type of product that you are bringing in as well. So on the other side, if the exporter in the foreign country is giving something to Nepal, and if they feel that their market is going, they naturally will come and they will try to do something. They are already doing it. There are so many companies that are already doing so much together with the agent or the traders that are involved in Nepal. So I think it's two-way. It has to come. It depends upon the type of product, and we also need to. Government also needs to ease the case of doing business to these people. And once this is done, and then what is the rebate that these people are going to get? If they give you extra service and if they give you extra social, work and all that and make the difference to you, how are you going to recognize these people? How are you going to motivate them is another big question. Is it through tax reduction, or is it through some sort of a prize, or is it by recognizing them as a VIP or something like that? So there has to be different models that needs to work out. And in the question of, for doing in the under the PPP model, we should not forget that, it is not only profit, people and planet, it is also public-private partnership, but always in that there is a stakeholder, which is the society, who is going to be the beneficial there. And without their partnership, nothing will succeed. We are all working for them, and if they are not with us, nothing will happen. Yeah. So government is working for the society. Political parties are working for the society. The businesses are also developing goods and other things for the society and others. So that they will never be missed, and they will be taken together.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sharma. So coming to Mr. Krishna, now I would like to ask you to offer some suggestions for us, for Nepali enterprise, or maybe for Nepali government or private sector collaborations. What kind of suggestions would you like to offer Nepali private sector for sustainable CSR? As we are also talking about PPP model and sustainable development, or how can private sector contribute to this concept of development? So I'd like to ask for your opinion, sir.
Right. So as I said earlier, so I'd come to Nepal to learn from you and not give advice. But still you have asked me. So just to quote an example, there's a famous person, John Wood, and he was an educationist, and he worked in Microsoft at a very senior position, and his region was China, Nepal, and Southeast Asia. So what he did in 2000 was, or maybe a year earlier, 98, he went to a Everest expedition, and after seeing Nepal villages and the lack of books in the whole of this area, I think most of you must have known. So he quit his job and started Read to Write as an initiative, which is a very global initiative. But why I'm saying so here and sitting here in Nepal is, it started from your country, Nepal. So that right germination of right society, the right idea can always come from anywhere. So we should not look about from India or from some other country. So that organization started from Nepal, and now it's doing wonders across the world. But what we can suggest from our perspective is, like our sir mentioned, being from government and finance, financial literacy is the message I would like to leave for all of you here and to the Nepal as a whole, that if you are financially prudent, then you can do anything, right? So there's a joke, generally, at least in India, wife always says to husband that he has done a PhD, but he is no good because he doesn't know how to buy things and how to save money, right? So what is the value of education, that too as a scholar, if you cannot run your house prudently? And for that, the financial literacy is the way forward. So that's why I said government has now stopped saying literacy, just literacy in India. They've stopped funding that, and financial literacy is one thing which we can help, the government can help, as sir was mentioning that you have a new governor, right? So we can maybe have a meeting with our RBI governor, because we do a lot of focus. I'm telling you because I host a lot of events for banks in India. So the whole focus, right from a kid, when he is hardly class 6th, or he should have that knowledge of financial, how to know that how much he is spending or how much pocket money he can save. So that financial literacy model, and a lot of banks are collaborating with our Reserve Bank to make it happen. So money is the important thing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Krishna. Now coming to the lawmaker, the economy of any country is primarily comprised of two sectors, the private sector and government sector. Although we have mentioned in the constitution, it's a 3 pillars economy. So that is a matter of separate discussion. So since Nepal's economy, the private sector contributes about 81% to the economy, right? So my question to you, what areas of development, priority sectors could we have as the first move towards the collaboration between government and private sector in terms of CSR and in terms of development?
Okay, first, let me just give you a few examples of good practices of PPP. Okay.
Okay.
In the one was during the COVID. UNICEF, Health Ministry, and NCEL got together, and distribution of oxygen, raising awareness, distribution of kit. I think they did a good job, because even in my district, they had come, and it was quite effective. This is one good example. I think NCEL put in a lot of money also, and it helped the government. Second good example is Bottlers Nepal Coke. The recollection of PET bottles. Okay, they initiated that, but it was very, very interesting program. I'm not sure whether that program is still on or not. The third thing what we must realize, when we talk about government, in Nepal we talk about 3 layers of government. So when we are saying government, I think everything in our mind is central government. When we do the CSR program, you got to work with the local government. I'll give you another example. In my constituency, Godavari Nagar Palika, I'm from Lalitpur, but not from the urban area, but from the rural area. So my Nagar Palika, Godavari Nagar Palika and Coke has worked together for the last 4 or 5 years on water projects. 2 water projects are complete, they are going on the 3rd project. The DPR is developed by the Nagar Palika, it's passed on to, they discuss where should they do the water project, and the implementers work on that DPR, and it's been a very, very successful program. Another program which has been very successful working with the local government is Teach for Nepal. They work with the local schools and the local governments, and even this has been effective. So for the large project, I think Mr. Thapa from Nepal Bank talked about, all of us should put in our money in a larger kitty. That was exactly what I said. But if a company is working individually, and they should not work with the central government, they should concentrate with the local government. It makes things much, much easier. So we need to, I think, as far as the PP model is concerned, let's divide it into 2. If it's a large project, then you work with the central government. Not one company, but various companies get together who are interested in this initiative. Then we work towards that. If not, then you work with the local government. Working with the local government is always more easier, because it's less formalities, easier to get work done. And at least in my constituency as a member of parliament, especially the water project which Godavari Nagar Palika and Coke is working, I've had no problem with the project. I go and lay the foundation stone, and I go and inaugurate it. In the middle, no issues or no hassles has come up. So you guys from the corporate sector, try the local government also. Don't ignore them.
Thank you very much. I think that perfectly sums up this panel. I would like to briefly touch upon the areas that we talked about. It's about the PPP possibility. If we have public-private partnership in CSR, yes, our panelists suggested we can have. And the area could be, the initial areas could be with the subnational governments, and the areas could be financial literacy and technological literacy, and maybe community development, as our audience has also suggested. And there is the possibility of cross-border or in inter-country collaborations in CSR. At least between Nepal and India, we have open border, good relations, people to people and whatever. So also, we can have a policy to motivate the trading companies that are doing a wonderful trade in Nepal, but they have not established their production base here. They have set it up elsewhere, but they are doing trade in Nepal, so we can motivate them so that we could increase the size of the fund for the CSR. So with this, I think they or we, all of us can contribute to the sustainable development and maybe slightly to the sustainable development goals, for which we have lacking hundreds of billions of rupees, lack of funds to meet the target by 2030. And Nepal is graduating to a developing nation by next year. So with this, I think it's a joint or collaborative efforts of the private and government sector. With this, I would like to end this panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to our moderator, Mr. Modnath Dhakal, for beautifully summarizing all the points brought forward by our panelists as well. Very important discussion on the private sector engagement, especially on how it can be made more efficient and more impactful. So thanking all our panelists for sharing their experiences and insights. May I please request Prithvi sir to kindly join us onto the stage to kindly present these token of appreciation to our panelists and to our moderator. हामी धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद ज्ञापन गर्न चाहन्छौं उदय शमशेर राणाज्यूलाई, माननीय उदय शमशेर राणाज्यूलाई धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद यो प्यानलिस्टको रूपमा आज यस प्यानल डिस्कसनमा सहभागी भएर प्राइभेट सेक्टर इन्गेजमेन्ट CSR मा प्राइभेट सेक्टर इन्गेजमेन्ट कस्तो हुनुपर्छ भन्ने कुराहरू अगाडि राखिदिनु भएकोमा उहाँलाई हामी धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद ज्ञापन गर्न चाहन्छौं. I'd also like to thank Mr. Anurag Krishna, former CSR Regional Head, Tata Consultancy Services, and very happy and very humble for him to also say that he's here to learn from us. So thank you very much, sir, for being a part of this panel discussion. Rajan Sharma जीलाई पनि हामी अगाडि आइदिनु हुनको लागि हार्दिक अनुरोध गर्दछौं. General Secretary of Nepal India Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thank you very much, Rajan sir, for your thoughtful remarks. We'd also like to request Ms. Vidushi Rana to kindly step forward and accept this token of appreciation from the organizer side. INDO-NEPAL CSR Summit ma Gold Star Shoes bata bhayiraheka CSR activities ru highlight गरिदिनु भएकोमा, and to our moderator as well, Mr. Modnath Dhakal, उहाँलाई पनि धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद हामी दिन चाहन्छौं. Maybe everybody can put their hands together for a thundering round of applause for all our panelists and our moderator, requesting everyone to please step forward for a group photograph, with which we conclude our third panel discussion for the day. अब हामीसँग दुईवटा डिस्कसन्सहरु मात्रै बाँकी छ. हाम्रो अन्तिम प्यानल डिस्कसन, त्यसपछि हाम्रो फेस टु फेस इन्टरभ्यु पनि हामीले सुन्ने छौं भन्ने जानकारी यहाँलाई गराउन चाहन्छौं. धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद सम्पूर्ण प्यानलिस्टहरुलाई. Please do take your seats. We'd like to thank and request our panelists to please be with us. Now, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, we are moving in for a short break. A 10 minutes a tea break, a little refreshment, a little energizer yaharu sabai janalai pani to get that afternoon cup of tea and coffee, and then to be back for our fourth panel discussion, which will be on innovation in CSR. How can we leverage technology, impact investments and ESRM for climate action and social good. So yaharu sabai janalai pani bahira tea coffee lidinu huneko लागि अनुरोध गर्दछौं. Please be back for our fourth panel discussion. Thank you very much, ladies and